You're listening to Fast Facts Perio Edition. And now, here's your host, Katrina Sanders.
Hello, and welcome to Fast Facts Perio Edition. This week, we're looking at a really incredible case study, and my hope is you're going to geek out on this just as much as I did when I read this study. So this research study looked back at a patient who 27 years ago had a tooth autotransplantation. Okay, let's dive into this a little bit. So this patient comes in to the dentist. She's 23 years old at the time, and she undergoes orthodontic treatment. At the time when she goes under orthodontic treatment, there was an unrestorable maxillary first molar. And while the maxillary first molar needed to be extracted, it turns out she had a healthy and fully erupted maxillary third molar. So in this procedure, by the way, this was 27 years ago, inside of all of this, it was decisioned to remove that fully erupted, healthy maxillary third molar and take that fully erupted maxillary third molar, transplant it into the site where that unrestorable maxillary first molar was. So they did this extraction procedure with jiggling forces that were applied to that third molar. And those forces were done intentionally to enlarge that periodontal ligament space and to facilitate the preservation of those PDL fibers on the root surface. That was their goal. They wanted to ensure that when that maxillary third molar was extracted, that it was extracted with high dense levels of healthy periodontal ligament fibers all across that root surface. And wouldn't you know it, interestingly enough, the tooth took to the site. This procedure was incredible because the patient 27 years later at the follow-up continues to show optimal chewing function, optimal oral plaque control, and subsequently an absence of gingivitis around that auto-transplanted tooth. This is starting to give us a lot of information about the additional options that are available for patients. When we recognize that dental implants are absolutely a viable option for tooth replacement, as are other prosthetic devices, things like a fixed prosthetic bridge or perhaps a partial denture, that now we're beginning to consider that perhaps the concept of translational or translocational medicine may be an approach inside of the concepts of patient care that may be optimal for some patients. The key concept here that we're really studying now is the success of reattachment of those periodontal fibers and the true focus around the preservation of those PDL fibers. We've seen this a few times. If a patient, for example, experienced trauma when a tooth ended up getting removed, and if it is inserted back down into the socket relatively quickly, we can oftentimes achieve high levels of success. So now research is really starting to dive into what happens if we dial it back and approach our clinical care with the goal being truly improving long-term treatment success. In this case, the tooth has now survived 27 years, which is a pretty darn good track record and really delivers some exciting opportunities for us inside of translocational medicine in dentistry. This has been another episode of Fast Facts Perio Edition with Katrina Sanders. Please feel free to reach me on Instagram at The Dental Wine Genist or on my website, www.katrinasanders.com. Cheers.